Okay, this last video is commenting about this guy drawing arbitrary trend lines, and I think he was actually drawing them on the wicks. I couldn't see in the video there. And so my mistake would be that I maybe drew it in the same place, but the reason why I think it's arbitrary is because he's drawing his trend lines on the wicks, which, unless you're on the tick chart, unless you're on a 5-minute chart all scrunched up, it's kind of hard to say, well, what's the trade-off of that? That's not the trend. Those aren't trend lines, in my opinion, because philosophically or conceptually, a trend is that every day that goes by, we keep going up, and every day that goes by, we keep going down. But the wick is not a representation of a time. There's no time frame involved there. The wick could have happened in the opening session, or it could have happened later in the session when the news came out, and all it is a move into, hopefully, where you're cashing out of a take profit there because it's spiking, it's nailing a area that hasn't been seen in a while, so it just fills that like there's a demand because it hasn't been there in so long that there's a pent-up demand. So you go there, and then it comes back, you're done. And this is why the counter trend traders just clean up. Really, the reversal traders. The other side, in the wicks that this guy was complaining about, like, oh, they're playing tricks on you. Once you figure out that all you have to do is flip your trading around and go the other way, but it's very difficult to do because you're really like asking somebody to not blink as you throw snowballs at them through a plexiglass window. There's a tendency to blink. It's like, don't look down, right? First thing you got to do is look down. And even if you don't look down, you're just sitting there with holding this thought of don't look down. So like, don't lose money, right? You've got to embrace losing money. I don't recommend, well, you can with $100 trade without a stop because your account is your stop. There's nothing wrong with that. The guy wouldn't admit to that. I thought it was kind of strange when I said to him, hey, then your account's your stop. And he's like, well, I'm trading people with $50,000 and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, well, dude, I mean, even a 1K, look at the Swiss franc. Dude, I need to explain to anybody. You're in the dollar Swiss franc. You're long a 10K. You got 100. You got $100 grand in the account. I don't know what's your hit on that. Did you wipe the account? Did you lose $100 grand? Imagine you're a trend trader, like a long-term position trader in Swiss franc. I don't know. You could go do the math, but just look at the Swiss franc. Bring up a chart that goes back 3 years and just try to map out the losses if you were in a stopless position. And I don't care what account. And then he said there's only 2 brokers. There's 900 brokers on the planet now. He says there's 2 brokers to use. In the beginning of his video, he's like, well, go to this. And actually, they're both good brokers, right? But there's no special broker. There's no, it's all up to you, and it's you. So I think the easiest thing to do to draw a trend line is to draw it on close. It's logical. It's conceptually, it's a Zen thing. And you can see right here that if you drew a trend line on if you drew one on the wicks here, get to my, I gotta switch my tools around here. I'm missing my I'm really zoomed in on this chart today, so I can't see but if you drew a trend line off of here to this wick here, it breaks here, and I guess if you're going to trade volatility breakout, yeah, you would draw your trend lines like that, but it's not, the trend isn't this steep. The trend's actually a frame by frame, like King Crimson, frame by frame. And here you go. It's very and in the moving averages would be, this is a 1 period moving average, the 2 period moving average would be about that slow. Here's a sideways trend. But is the trend up off these highs? it's a real misreading. Is the trend down off these lows? Like here's a trend line that he drew. He would draw it like this. Okay, well when we break here, we're going to sell. Well, what if you drew a trend line off of the same area? You've got two. This is your first pullback where you could draw your first trend line. So see the difference? Vive la différence. They used to say there was a commercial on TV about that. So if you make this as your trend line on wicks, and this is your trend line on close, you get a nice, try to stretch this out a little bit. I can never see the forest for the trees, you know. There's very little data on this chart. I'm only going back 1 week. And this is also the place I was mentioning on the other video this guy had, where I don't know how people can't just keep seeing this happen over and over and over again. Hey, come on. This area right here, dude. Seriously. Your buy limits are sitting in here. Your first cash out is here. That's your no-brainer. Maybe you let the rest go. You'd have to wait. And then you dump out of something here because you know that this is a previous. So you get out of something here. You get out of something here. And maybe you even sell into that a little bit. Now that's about how position sized you are. Or maybe you didn't have a chance. Maybe you just let that go. And you saw this trend line here, which I think this is an obvious situation here. This thing broke down here. So you're actually getting in around the same time that the people that drew the trend line on the spikes are getting in. The volatility bots that just blindly buy new highs, they getting in like this, okay? And they would have made money too. In fact, if you had a really liberal stopless system like he has, you buy here and you just don't put anything on it, and you get out here. And you just made, you know, a gob of pips. I don't know what it is, because this grid I'm using is MT4's grid. This is I don't have any template on here this is nothing special. This is all MT4 stuff. All I did was put a moving average on there and fatten it up. So I could see the closing prices really harshly, real stark. And the thing is that if the buy stop bought here, but he stops buying here because he sees higher highs, then he puts in a buy stop. Now he's in, say, 8K or he's in 4K if he bought 1Ks here. He has no stop, or maybe you put a stop here. You know, and you see this is the trap, right? And you see the double wick bottom, and people got trend lines drawn off of here. The thing is, it's just too hard to do. It's too hard to find where to draw a trend line. In fact, there's less choices on a line chart, or maybe there's more choices on a line chart, but you're in a tighter zone. You are in the true closing, and apparently closing prices means something to candle traders because they say stuff like bullish candle, bearish candle. So apparently closing price does mean something. And if you notice the wick of that candle, if your whole candle was all wax, so there was no wicks, that's what it kind of really should be, right? In other words, every narrow bar on a bar chart should be a doji. This should literally be, and this would be a doji. A doji just means that you went sideways. So every time you go sideways, if you launch your breakout bot here, sideways breakout bot, even here, nothing's going on yet. When they cut to here, when they break this, some people are getting in here. Now that's a 4-hour chart. Who the fuck can't see this void forming, just like this under void forming? Now, if you had a binary bot that's running both directions on this, then the binary bot's going to do something like this: buy stop, nothing. Sell stop. Now you're short 2. And if you didn't scalp out of this, now here's where you're going to get any stop bot, any hedge program is going to start to get whipsawed. He's short. He's long. If it's not taking something out of that trade along the way, then you're screwed. Because the spread's going to kill you, the commission's going to kill you, and just the time and energy is going to kill you. Let's take a look at the, and it's to figure out how many pips that is. It looks like if you go to the cursor on here, right next to your cursor, you go to the crosshairs, and you can drag it. Or if you drag any of these tools, you'll see how many pips this box is. So since I don't have my pip grid up here, this is like 14 pips. This is like 15 pip box. So you just take your trusty rectangle, you draw that 15 pip box, and that's 15 pips in, it looks like 8 hours. So the way this grid is doing a great job of giving you 8-hour vertical slices of the market, but it's not giving you a good indication of vertical pips. So when you scrunch down here, the grid stays the same. You see that there's the problem. And so you can't really rely on this for risk. You're just looking at it in terms of just giving you, like you'd have to build a trade. Like if you wanted to trade with a 15 pip stop, here's like, I'm going to put this at 12. So it's like a 10, 12, 14 pip stop because the spread's going to matter. So say you bought the top of this when it came down here, and if you put that in the middle, you're kind of assured you got filled, even if the ask is kind of wide at this point. So you got filled here, and here's your stop. Now, profit-wise, break even. This is because your first is maybe a scalp, right? Then your next one is going to be here, double your money, then triple your money, quadruple your money, on and on and on and on, right? And you've got more than one order. Let's hope, right? You're not thinking, oh, I'm just so good at this, and I'm just going to trade one, and that's all I need. You're going to be very upset that you didn't load into more, and you're going to be very upset that you didn't do this take break even, or even maybe worse. Say you've got a entry here and it just gets out for just a little bit. That's okay if you've got some fatter trades like this in the mix, and that's no different than trading without. Like if you're going to risk $1 here for worse than break even, and this you're gonna put in say a $10 risk here to make 4 times your money. If you've got that other one in there, it's a higher probability that you're going to take those 5 or 10 pips with a 20 pip stop than you're going to take this trade. And as the market's going through this garbage here, all this noise here, you're making money. Because even if the market's in a choppy mess here of 30 pips, you know, you're padding your account. I did this one morning on the British pound. I knew this puppy was going to go through the ceiling. Who couldn't see it coming? The longer that this went on, the more higher probability that it's going to rip one way or the other. So in the meantime, being overly eager and just impatient as all hell, I just traded this thing on and on and on. And I had already built my account up quite a bit, probably 20% at this point. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to let some of this go. And of course, I really wish I would have, because, well, we're waiting for the news to come out. But when this is happening, you're really not sure if it's going to do a pre-run, like, you know, where people, they're just like, we're going there anyways. Let's just go there. And then later on, the news does come out, and then we go up another leg. So say there was this burst here, and you're like, whoa. And then this is the 4-hour chart, so there's a pullback here. You can't see it on here, but we pull back to this and then to the races, to the moon. Not to mention this trend line here, trend line on close, which is like a, you know, it's literally it's like a clock. It works like a clock. So here, another thing I just discovered is backspace key deletes these objects one at a time. I'm just in MetaTrader, good old MetaTrader here with the grid. I'd change the colors around though. And you can see the spread here is 2 pips on this. Broker, so you can build, you can see here that just because the price went down here and you had a buy limit sitting right here, it doesn't mean you got filled. In fact, you did not. So you have to give the market a range of, say, 10 pips. And if you're going to trade with 15 pip stop, make it look like a fit. If you have a 15 pip stop, it's probably going to be more like 20 in the real world. So there's real world trading, and there's, I think this is a fixed pip broker. But a lot of these brokers, because it's a fixed pip, they'll make up for the lack of being able to expand their spread by just increasing the volatility of the instrument, so that it actually, in actuality, has the same bid and ask in the end. It's just that it looks fixed, but they got to pay for it somehow. And actually, in some regards, they can't. If some broker has a floating spread that goes super wide to super tight, this one would probably outperform it. But at that point, you're splitting hairs, right? If you're worried about the spread, I guess. Now, if you go to a fixed pip broker to trade the guppy, he might give you, like a retail broker might say, well, that's 7 pip spread on the guppy. And you go to the ECN broker, and they're like, well, it's 1.5 pips. But it could go to 20 pips when the news comes out, where the other guy's going to go to maybe 10. He's already at 7. So it's just shipping and handling. So the key here is that on this 4-hour euro dollar is that if you had a buy limit sitting on this triple top, plus this big thing, plus this whole wick zone here, and hopefully you bought this, did the scalp here, this could also be a monthly chart, and this guy's selling his swing trading thing, but he's got to realize if he's really, and I think he said that was a trend trade that he was doing there. And if it was a trend trade, then fucking hey, he's trading without a stop, he's trading without a thing, you just go and trade it, right? But if you imagine the trades up front and pick this zone here, so you got, this is, you want to risk 20 pips, and you just have a drop order that risks 20 pips. Trying to get this to fit in the grid, and this grid is a little bit stretched to I'm on the wrong res, so this is actually not a pure, this is more a rectangle than a square. The grid's supposed to be squared, but it's slightly rectangular. And I guess you don't want to be a perfectionist either if you're a trader, because you're really going to have a hard time finding the perfect trading system. But for the most part, it's obvious that, and then the people that don't want to trade the news and all that, and hilarious. It's just you're really just looking in the mirror of all your fears. And here's a ricochet off of the closing price. Triple top becomes a bottom here. This is just as valid as any Gartley nonsense you would see. I would certainly take this over any type of fib or Gartley, just because you see that a lot. Not to mention, without this line, just look at this big area here that needed to be filled, and we may go down again. So the sellers are going to come in here for sure, right? Everybody's going to take profits there. Now the big question here next week on the euro is, are we going to come up to here, stall out, continue down? And this is where, in the other video, I said, well, why don't you just sell there? Yeah, well, why wouldn't you just sell? Like, the answer is, why wouldn't you just sell here? Is, I'm not a scalper. Well, okay, but maybe you should be, right? Maybe you should be a scalper, a swing trader, and a trend trader. If you can be all three of those things, and that's the only thing I would actually say about this guy's thing, is that he did at least have 3 categories of trading style on his website. But $97 a month, I guess it's not, when you're making, dude, if you're making 1,000 pips a day, you are killing it, right? You don't need that. I mean, you got the extra, you got the money to burn. And if you drag this over, and this is your rate of change, say, so this is this window here is, I didn't import the, this is a new broker, this is 24 pips here. So if you had a 24 pip stop and you're only going to buy the top of this thing, and it's a pretty liberal stop, the whole time that we're going through this nonsense, and this is presupposing just a one position trader, and this is your profit zone. So you didn't hit your target. Say your target's the very top of that, and your target's up here. You buy here, your stop's here. or you're buying here and your stop looks like this. And you're going to get out here, so this is a pretty good profit ratio. But it doesn't mean that you can't have an order that has an entry here, and just you have these. You just keep placing 1Ks, and in 50 placements you'll be at 50K, and you maybe only get filled on 35K. Some guy in the room asked him, "Can I trade 35K with $200 in the account?" And he says to the guy, "Do I even need to answer that?" Well, yeah, you do, because what he's saying is kind of ridiculous. Or no, he's presupposing that I'm trading a 0.35 on one ticket. If I'm trading 35K with $200 in the account, and I have 15 pip stops on every one of those, if all those orders are really close to the market and they have a high probability of filling, then I don't know what the math is on 15 times 0.35 with $200, but I guess let's imagine 10 pip stops, right? That's 300, what's it, $35 risk? So you're risking $35 with 10 pip stops, a $200 account. That's fine, right? So yeah, you're down $35. Now, 15 pip stops, you're down, let's go 20 pip stops, you're down $70? I don't know. Anyways, my math's not the best. But I really can see the patterns. So I get the whole thing with the people that are all attracted to Gartley, because I'm attracted to, I was just watching this movie from, I think 1998 with, I don't know if anybody watches soap operas, but I used to be married once, and my wife would watch Days of Our Lives, and there was this chick named Hope. Oh my Lord, some Italian babe. Well, she's in this movie, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, can we just copy her? But she's like the ultimate Gartley. That's what I'm trying to say. Wow. Man, wow. Really never saw her take a bad, look gorgeous. But it's very seductive too. And then of course when you look back on this stuff here, there's the news or something over here, you're like, what the hell? Well, that's actually tradable. Certainly have to come to the conclusion that you just have to throw a lot of orders out there. Like if you had, say you had a 20 pip stop. Here's a 20 pip stop, and I'm talking about selling, your entry limit is the bottom of this rectangle. And your take profit is this. And that order lasts for, say this order lasts for a day or something. Or all week long, you got this thing up here, you're like, dude, if we ever come up here, and then you're like, well, what I'm gonna do is if I sell up there, I already know this exists. So I know this top exists. And if I look left, even if I sold, there's so many ways to play it. There's just not one way to play it. The idea that you're going to send a signal service to somebody and tell them, listen, sell here, they're not going to catch that. They had to have a limit there. That's why I asked the guy, what kind of order do you have there? Because if you had a limit up here, you would have totally captured that. And it comes ripping back. And you left something on the table even. Look at this ratio. Are you kidding me? You've got a crop of 10K up here. You get filled on 5K. You scalp to here. So imagine you've got, here's your master stop, and here are your buy limits. You got a 10 pack, 1 pip apart. Your first exit's going to be here. Exit, exit, exit. You're out of your position by here. You let the rest go. Exit, exit, exit. That's what it's going to look like. This is, if you're going to buy this coming down here, you're buy. You're buying on stops. You're buying on limits. Buy. You're out of maybe 30% of your position by here. Because, the sellers are probably going to come in here. And they don't. They just ripped this puppy all the way past here. But this is where you got your sell bank. So you're never trend trading it. I think trend trading is like the dumbest thing I've ever heard of in my life. In hindsight, it looks beautiful. It works Okay, wait a second. You're locking up margin. You're spinning your wheels when you try and trade. Does this sound like a good idea? And they say, oh, there's another myth. What is it? What do they say? Get rich quick. Dude. This is the place to do it. It's also the place to get poor quick. But as soon as you get poor quick one day, you go, somebody just got rich quick and I got poor quick. That is the question. That's a cliche, think outside the box. These box traders that you come across with the 100-day moving average, and sure, that shit lines up just like when I threw up on the wall, it looked like Jesus. That one time, I'm like, damn, look at that, I'm channeling Jesus. Must have been what I ate. Let me check what I ate. You're killing yourself. Look at this trap up here. You mean to tell me, if you had a sell bank up here and you counter traded that, and he was looking to make 20 pips, this poor guy. But then you'd say, well, no, it went up after all. Well, of course, because you're not a trend trader. Trend trading is for losers. That whole industry is built on trend continuation, people. What do? Well, I'm a trend continue. Are you? Okay. Well, if that's the case, then just put your buy stop here. Put your buy stop here, and you're going to have to put these monster stops in to protect that. How's it working now? Right? Well, my stop's down here, and I got some skin in the game. I'm a little underwater. This is for our chart, mind you. You got like all the time on the planet to execute this crap. Like if you don't have a sell limit sitting up here, backspace key works again. If you don't have a sell limit sitting up here for a scalp, oh well, you're not a scalper. You think we could take it up to here, trap these guys, and rip it back? So you think we could, and we've seen this before. Now this is a true auction situation where this is really in an uptrend. And the dollar's really in trouble. The bond market, the stock market totally trapped the bulls, ripped back, and it's getting very brutal up there. Coming into the elections is getting toppy. But if this is the trap, what typically happens here is comes back here, pauses, dilly-dallies, and then just keeps going. Sellers will try to come in here, it'll pull back, keep going. Now, the magnitude of these moves, even, because like I said, if you're uptrend trading this, who made more money? The guy that sold here and wrote it for a very quick, make money very quickly. What was that phrase? How to make fast money. Well, no, you got to understand, it doesn't work like that. Get rich quick just doesn't work. Yeah, it does. And I think the thing is there's a little bit of shame. If you've ever done a trade like this where you did make money, a part of you says, that's just wrong. Okay. I guess people think it's almost like if your sister was really hot and you weren't, and you're like, you know what? My sister's really hot. I'm attracted to her. Now, people say, well, that's just wrong. Okay, well, in Forex, that stuff's okay. I mean, I just had sex with my sister. I'm not saying I did, but I'm saying that it is like you did that. In other words, everything you've ever been told about how to trade, and just watch anything out there, and they're going to tell you stuff that if that was true, I just saw a guy do a thing on cloud trading, because as soon as I went to look at this trader, I want to say KS Trader 69, which would sound a little more exciting. The thing is, I'm looking at this stuff going, oh my God, man, everybody's like, really? And I got the candlesticks and the cliches and oh boy. And the guy says, this cloud trader, another cloud trader, because I got suggestions from YouTube as soon as I looked at this other guy. And the guy says, well, the cloud trading works with the yen because, a lot of these big hedge funds and even the retail traders are all using the same system. I'm like, listen, not on the same time frame. And a lot of people have tweaked the numbers inside of cloud trader to keep them out of trades. All cloud trading is, in essence, is a way to, it's just moving averages that look like clouds, and it's also just a way to keep you from over trading, in essence. In other words, if you don't have some type of, well, for a lot of people, right? Like, this is what they say about kids. Like, the reason why you have rules for kids, because they got to have boundaries so they feel safe. And I think that, adults have this kind of, well, tell me what to do then. And I think it was a relationship like that. And I asked the girl, I sounded like a girl. I said, well, so how do you see this relationship? Like, where's this thing going, right? And I said, no, what does that look like? What is it? If you had imagined our relationship in the future, what is it going to look like? What's your expectations? Well, trading is it's just a crazy world, man. And if you've ever made money accidentally and said, God, I want to do that again, but it's against your philosophical values and all your morals and stuff, you're just not going to, it's inaccessible, because you can't believe that. And then you would say another thing that would happen to you is that, and this is kind of the problem with learning from somebody else, is that you're thinking, well, what are they doing? They must know, and I'm an idiot. No, you know more than you know. You don't trust in your own discoveries. Well, when you discover a volatility breakout system and you start to see that this would be mechanical trading, right? That this area here is very tight zone. Well, you know what? And maybe you do go the extra to see that, oh, this is an auction trade where they've trapped these people. This is supposed to be resistance. So is this. We're supposed to come back to here and just keep plunging. And it doesn't happen like that. Wow, that's certainly the point at which you say, wow, listen. But I don't know. I hope that helps. And just I want to do a formal video on these scripts, how to build a script. And really, it just has to do with, I posted in this script trading Google thing, and then I opened up this Hightail file sharing thing to post. I posted a photograph of the maybe I've got it here on my system. I've posted this photograph of just a real simple script and just what it looks like on the screen, because a long time ago, somebody said, well, you know what does that look like when you press that button? So I created this thing that says, oh, that's what it looks like. And so I posted that in the MT4 script trading. But I think this is the another thing that Mark Douglas said that I think is very true, is that human beings demand expression. In other words, why would anybody even do a video post like this YouTube or play a guitar? Because there's a part of you that demands expressing. You have to kind of, I guess maybe it's instinctual to leave your mark on something and to make a point. Or the guy that sent me this email about this chaos trader says, I can't seem to describe what I'm thinking, and it's definitely a frustration in not being able to, I should probably script out what I'm saying here and get like index cards, but I'm just kind of ranting on the fly. But I'm getting the job done because I can't hold in what I'm thinking. And when I watch these people's videos, some guy asked me a long time ago, why do you bash these other traders? And I'm like, listen, because I'm learning as I bash, and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, how did I ever get tied into this? I get it that the chick's good looking, but do you realize the amount of baggage, in other words, the amount of spikes, the amount of volatility in this relationship? Sure, it looks great when you say, oh, we're getting married. And getting married is kind of like being a trend trader. Well, we're going to get married. And we're just kind of like, we'll just see how it goes. We don't put a stop in. We don't have a take profit. We'll just see how it goes. Okay, listen, these days, people put stops in. I think they're called prenuptials. And, some people, there's a lot of slippage, right? That would be the attorney fees. But, I mean, come on. Let's be realistic. And, I don't know. It's just, trading's just too much fun, because it's really not so much about the money. It's about kind of seeing how much punishment you can take. Like, not that you have to be masochist, but, do people that take up karate or, jiu-jitsu, whatever it is, where they're going to put themselves into possibly having a accidental injury that's really bad, or just the good old wear and tear of sparring with somebody and going through that. So a part of you has to love fighting with people, and this is going to make you sharper, because you're going to see, well, and of course I did say that this guy had some redeeming qualities. He had like 3 styles of trading and stuff like that, but you kind of learn so much from watching how somebody interprets the data coming at them. So you can see their belief system, right? It's like philosophical detection is what I heard. The first time I heard that phrase, Ayn Rand said, philosophical detection. I said, what a great, in other words, like having a meter, you can see what people's fears are. So this, and the people that talk about, well, it's all just, the news is coming out, and like, oh my God, this is like the best. This is like something just went on sale. You're a trader. You buy and sell goods, but you don't want to go to the auction with me. You just want to sit at home and be like, yeah, you know what I heard? I heard that this thing's the latest thing here. I'll only buy a little bit of that. But the most of the money's made when you go to the auction, right? And people say, where did you get that? I go, listen, I went there early bird special. I went there in the morning on the open, and I got this item at a discount. And later on in the day, I dumped it. So, like scalping. So they used to flip homes like that. Well, the cool thing about Forex is you can flip a home. You can buy a $100,000 home and hold it for 5 minutes or 5 hours. And you don't even have to like worry about, well, is there insurance on the house? And do I have to worry about getting the keys? No, it's pull a trigger. But, God in heaven, man. It's just, it's an amazing world to live in. And, but trading is not all this stuff, that you've been taught. And, it's all with the best intentions. And people that sell courses, they're not stupid. They're like, well, it looks like the money in this industry. And if they have a little bit of knowledge, they're like, you know what? There's people asking me to do this. And the guy said that the only reason he was doing this is because people said, God, give us a signal. Now, I don't think anybody's asked me that because I think I'm just such an asshole up front. People are like, I don't want to talk to him. My God, he might just, but, and I've actually had somebody, I had a friend that wanted me to show somebody how to trade, and I think he saw my videos and he just says, I don't know, I just don't want to talk to him. I'm afraid to talk to this guy. Well, I mean, I don't know. I was, when I went to the, learn karate, I was scared, but I thought, no, this is like going to the hospital. I mean, these people, they know how to cut you up, but they know how to sell you. I mean, sure. But if you don't trust them, but I think it's self-confidence, right? And a lot of people, they're scared of money just straight out of the gate. My ex-stepdaughter, her real dad gave her $20 one day, and she actually said to her the daughter, hey, you know what? I don't know if I should give you this $20. You're not good with money. And it was windy out. And about an hour later, the wind just blew the money away. And I just thought, man, this is like, she might have actually self-sabotaged herself. In other words, her confidence is so screwed up from her dad going, you're just a fucking idiot. You're a fucking idiot. And she has to continue with this idiocy. Like this bullshit, 95% of traders are losing. So what the fuck? 95% of the people that are showing you how to trade don't know how to trade, or they can't see an opportunity that's right in front of their face because they got a checklist, like this Chaos Trader Cloud guy. What a checklist, man. But I get it. If that's the training wheels you need to keep you from tipping the bike over and over trading the account and blowing it up, okay, maybe you got a great day job. Maybe you don't need the money. Maybe so many maybes, right? And of course, not to mention, just because you're trading the market, the idea that you're a trader, this people are throwing around this term like this Akil Stokes. I'm a professional trader. Yeah, but you got real estate, you got this, you're selling classes. If you really, really, really had to depend on your account for all your money and not your client's money, like some people can psychologically handle trading other people's money and some people can't. I would not want to trade somebody else's account because I just think I'd be crippling them in a way. They're going to learn so much more about themselves and about money and about just, it's almost like it's a two-way street. What you learn in trading transfers back into your, and maybe I could be married to some psycho babe now because I would just consider that she was just like trading the guppy. And maybe I'd call her Guppy. That'd be her nickname. This way we could be married. And I go, I never know what she's going to do. But I'm ready. I've got orders out there. You know, I got like 5 cars in case she crashes one. I'm good to go. I've already got the paperwork filled out. I've got 3 attorneys lined up. I've already put in all the necessary limit orders. But it's a two-way street. You're never looking at, you're never seeing the market for what it is. You're just looking at your, either your fear or greed, like, oh, look at this. If it comes back here and it goes up there, and this is what I want to happen, this is what I expect to happen, and this is the setup, this is the trade. I mean, who hasn't done that? And who hasn't been completely wrong? And who hasn't said, wait a minute, why was I even thinking that? Because you were looking at past behavior and saying, well, that's happened before, and it has happened before, but it's also happened the other direction. And for me, it's very difficult time selling these markets because I'm just too optimistic. I'm just too romantic. Or I would never date a psycho babe, but they look so good up front. They look like the girl in the movie. And so it's really, the market is like, sadly like a mistress as far as, if it's open 24 hours, come on. This is like, we got a Japanese massage thing down here. They're always open. I never see anybody in there. And I'm sorry, this is a, does it say Oriental massage? I don't think it says Asian massage, but I think they still use the word Oriental in this town. That's a, I guess you know what you're in for there, but I don't know. Anyways, I know that's really probably the most convoluted rant, but my point would be that what people think is bad about the market is like what the guy was saying in this other video about the wicks being a problem. Once that problem becomes what you're actually looking forward to, so you're in a karate class, right? And you're hoping the guy punches you so you can grab his arm and pull him down. Like a part of you is like, hey, come on, let's see the market, let's see some volatility here so they can fill my orders. So, but on the other, it's a double-edged sword because if you're a trend trader and you're in a stable position, the last thing you want to see is them spike it in and stop you out and rip it the other way. And you're in really big and you've done all your analysis and you're in this, not realizing that when they kick you out, I'm sure you're not the only person getting kicked out of that trend trade, and they just bitch slap you and continue in the direction of your trend without you. That must be some kind of wake up call to maybe I could fine tune this puppy and get it to, and also not, like Mark Douglas would say, you have a series of trades. You have 20 trades in a row. You don't just have 3 trades in a row and going, you know what, I'm calling it quits. I'm trading 3 standard lots. I'm down $500 or $50, and I'm just going. That's how I quit. But next week should be a riot. I can't wait to see what happens with the Australian dollar here. This guy's predictions, he's 90% right. But this is the MT4. And I just put I think it's obvious, I put a 1 period moving average on the highs and lows here. So just have 3 moving averages here. Big secret. And just the bar chart. And another thing is cool here is if you go to the 1 hour chart and you look at the 1 hour with this grid up here, you'll actually, in maximum zoom out, you'll be at 1 hour per bar. I think hit to the time frame here. So you go to 1 hour, and this the grid is a little set to that. So if you go out, this is max zoom in. If you go out and you zoom out 2, now every cubicle is 2 hours. So that should give you some idea of time passing, and this is the beginning of the day. And when you go here, I think that you're at, let's say, 3 or 4 hours per vertical, and this is day by day. So you see all the way back into the floor here, and look at this right here where your buy limits were. Now this is where trend traders have their stops, right? So the thing is that they would tell you normally this scenario here. Well, what you want to do is you're in an uptrend here, right? We just moved up, and so we're going to put a buy stop, say above here, or what have you, or just buy in the middle of the road here, back in fair value. So you buy, say here, if you're lucky, or here. And then you put your stop here 1 pip below, and they stop you out, and then they go up. Or maybe you have a stop in here. You're getting like we're going up. But I don't know if you can see that. That's your entry. See this 1 pip pullback, and then it really goes up. So yeah, you could say, well, I bought here, and my stop was here, and I didn't get out here, and then I didn't get out here, and then I moved my stop to break even. Well, that's ridiculous. You can't, for as many, this is a whole other day too, and he's talking about holding trades for 2 and 5 days. My God, man. Really, I would just, I would want to make my money and, yeah, get rich quick. That's what I would say. Aim for getting rich quick. Because we've all gotten poor quick, right?